Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video, and in this video we're going to be talking about the biggest differences between pro players, intermediate players, beginners, all that jazz, right? We want to find out the delta between pro players and the rest of them, right? So we can figure out, like, what are they specifically doing? What do they have on us that we could change and we could sort of implement ourselves, right? We're always trying to add that next best thing, and I'm here to tell you right away that's just wrong. There's nothing to add, actually, right? Maybe there's some small details, but speaking from my own competitive experience from playing this game for 2 to 3 years and absolutely trying my hardest, right, trying my real best to become a tier 1 pro, I haven't reached that goal yet, but I've gotten close, right? I've gotten to 40k PR, 5k earnings, and while that's absolutely not a full-time income, especially playing the game for like 2 to 3 years, it is something, right? And I think a lot of you guys want to at least reach that goal and then continue to pursue further past it, as you should, right? But a lot of people are trying to add the next best thing. Like, okay, what do the pros have on me? Like, what is that difference? What skill do they have that I don't? And I really believe they're looking in the wrong place. Like, seriously, right? It's not that the pros have something on you, it's that you have too much. You have too many poisonous traits in your character that needs to be changed, right? And that's the thing that I really want to focus on in this video, is that what stuff do we need to remove, completely take away from your skill sets or your characteristic traits that can change you for the better. Let me give you an example, right? Because I think there's 3 main areas that we need to cover, right? In my personal opinion, number 1, right? Pro players have an absolute lack of complacency. What I mean by that is that they're always willing to learn. They always think that they're not at the peak and there's something more to it. Even Tayson, when he was at number 1 in the solos, right? Like he was very, very good, clearly undisputed, really, really good at solos. I guarantee you, this is just a mindset thing, that he believes there's more to be learned, even though he is the best out of everyone, out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of Fortnite competitive players. He was the best. Yeah, he still believed that there is further to be learned, right? There's more to it than what he currently knows, and that's a lack of complacency, right? And I really want you guys to understand that that's a good thing. You need to remove your complacency. Complacency just means, like, you think you're the best, there's not much else to it, there's not much else to be learned, you think, you know, you've got it all, you've made it, and you don't need much else. One way to really get rid of complacency, if you feel like you're in this boat, is to watch pro players and really appreciate every little thing that they do in game, that they've made good habits, and they've made automatic and muscle memory that you currently do not do in your gameplay. And really, like, think deep about this. Like, actually look into gameplay and overthink and write every little note down and really try to focus on, like, what's the difference, right, between his game and my game. And once you see all the little differences, you'll start to appreciate how much more you actually have to learn before you even get close to the tier 1 pro level. And that should be, you know, sort of demotivating a little bit, but that's good, because at least your judgment of how far you are is a little bit more accurate. And I think you should get a little bit confidence from really knowing the difference between you and a pro player, because then it's a lot more, like, concrete, right? It's a lot more objective, and it's a lot, you know, it's not emotional improvement, it's, you know, it's real improvement. You're focused on the data, not the emotions or feelings. Like, I think I'm close, it's not good enough, right? So the next thing, second, right, is the lack of excuses. I see this all the time, and I'm sure you do too, all over Twitter. Even some pro players, actually, they still have a problem with this, but the amount of excuses on solo cash cups, the amount of excuses on FNCS, leaderboard is truth, right? If someone didn't place, it's because they performed bad, it's because they misplayed, it's because they just didn't prepare hard enough. And I really believe in this, right? Because leaderboard is truth. That's like my mantra. Like, I really believe in that. Yes, someone can have an off day, but that's what it is. It's an off day. Like, they don't have as good of a score, they didn't qualify because on that specific day they didn't play well. Yes, you're right, maybe, like, there's some variance in how they can play, but, like, who else do we have to blame for that? It has to be them, right? It has to be the person who did the playing. There's no other person to blame, really. And once you sort of understand that, I feel like you can get to a point where you're in a good spot, because you're gonna be aiming for such a high skill level that even on your bad days, even through the troughs and the dips, you're still good enough to qualify, and that's really what you want to get to, right? And obviously during grands or something, you can't really have a bad day because the skill level is really too close at that point. But either way, really big deal. Pro players just lack of excuses all around. Really big deal, because as soon as you make an excuse, what you're really doing, if you think about it, is you're putting the blame externally. You're taking it out completely from your control. And when you do that, if you blame something else other than yourself, what you're really saying, in other words, is the fact that you can't do anything about it, right? Even if you tried your hardest, there's nothing you could have done. And the danger, the actual toxicity in that statement, and the danger of that statement is, if you can't do anything about it, it's going to remain the same, and then it's going to be the same story next tournament, right? So actually, I personally believe it's sometimes better to blame yourself for stuff that's not even your fault, as just a mindset, right? Like, default to blaming yourself, right? Don't try to overthink it. Maybe you can sort of filter some things out. Maybe like some things are genuinely not your fault, but it's better to sort of default and inaccurately blame yourself than it is to inaccurately blame externally, right? Because some things that you could have absolutely changed, especially like fundamental things about the game that you need to fix and you need to improve, you cannot make an excuse about, because that's like crucial. Like, you need to fix that. I would rather default to that than defaulting to blaming it externally. I feel like a lot of people tend to default there, and it's just a mindset thing, right? It's not about objective truth. It's not about like what actually is true. It's just about a mindset, right? And trying to be in the mindset of control. You have control over how you play, and you have a control over what the results are going to be. And that's just a healthy place to be, in my personal opinion, especially when you're trying to improve. Next thing, and the very last thing, definitely not least, is the lack of giving up, right? This is what pro players lack. And I think a lot of people who play the game at a mediocre level or a casual level, they give up right away. They just play one tournament, they give up on their teammates, they give up on themselves, they give up on literally everything as soon as one tournament finishes, when there's literally another tournament next week. If you are in this state of mind, this needs to change, or it's just really going to be tough for you, because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in your prospective competitive career if you continue this way. And it's really important to understand that one loss does not define you as a player. 2 or 3 losses doesn't define you as a player. It's really what you do after the fact, because realistically, especially towards the beginning of your improvement journey, you're really going to have to lose a lot. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. It's really what you do with those losses. Do you actually take the time to VOD review and learn from them? Do you actually take the time to sort of review and think back on what you could have done better? Because these losses are opportunities, right? You're not going to learn as much from a scrim mistake than you are from a tournament mistake, because a tournament mistake is like, everything's real. Like, the nervousness, the stress, every factor is really dialed in, and it's as accurate as possible, right? Like, this is how you're going to perform in a real tournament. So that's, if anything, that's the one you really want to VOD review. Scrims are just a replication. It's just a like some simulation of a tournament, but tournaments are like really how you're gonna play, you know what I mean? Especially with all the adrenaline running through your body, the stress, the nervousness, as I said before. It's really important to take that seriously and not give up after one tournament. Actually think of it as an opportunity to improve your skill 10 to 20 to 30% right then and there, if possible, right? And it really just depends on how you react to it. Are you going to give up right away, or are you going to take it as an opportunity, as a way to sort of improve yourself further? And with that, guys, it's really the lesson of this video. Pro players don't really have that much on you. They actually have less things, less character traits, and they lack things. They lack the art of giving up. They lack complacency, right? They lack excuses, and they do not give up. They completely lack that as well. And with that said, guys, I really hope you guys take this video seriously and really understand that your performance in this FNCS, your performance in this solo cash cup does not mean anything if you do the correct steps afterwards and take it seriously and take it as a challenge. Like, how many times can you lose without giving up and continue to persevere and see that there is a future in your competitive career if you choose to believe that? Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. That's it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after. I have some really cool videos planned, preparation for the solo cash cups and duo cash cups, some really cool educational content. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in those videos. Peace.